something come up that says the meeting's now being live streamed. So welcome everybody to Finding Your Inner Guide. And this evening we're going to have two special guests. Dove and Rafi are going to lead us in some work. So I'm very excited, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn the mic over to you. I don't know if you wanted me to play a song or just get started going.
No, we can play a song at the end.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're here, there's no accident. Probably Lim put out a mailing and said, "Hey, this is going to be a nice evening," and we're going to be talking about a metaphor for what the ego is. And this is the first way I ever learned about the ego. And it gave me such a big head start. So when I finally found the Course of Miracles, like 2 years later, I kind of already knew what the ego was all about. I really did. And in fact, it was New Year's Eve, 1980, when someone said, "Hey, Dove, how about leading us in a Course of Miracles group in Greenwich Village?" And my mind went, "What, are you crazy? You never even looked at the textbook. You're only halfway through the lesson book. You don't know what the course is saying." But out of my mouth came, "Okay, I'll do it." And, the ego is there to confuse you, to say, "No, you're not ready yet." But that's kind of getting into the story. So let's kind of back up and see how the whole story goes. First, I want to do a very short prayer. I call this my short prayer, and it's the only one I ever really use. And it goes like this: Thy will be done. Our will is one. Our will is done. That's all you really need. It's short and sweet. We
Amen.
have one will, and we share that with our Father, but we have never left. That's setting the goal up front, accepting the atonement for ourselves, looking back and laughing at it all. Literally, you got to laugh at this stuff. Okay, so it all started for me in 1975 when I heard about this thing called S. It started in California, and it traveled very quickly across the country and into about 20 other countries. And in no time at all, 1 million people had done the S training. And outside of the 2 weekends where I really didn't really learn too much, it was kind of, all right, a little of this, a little of that. On the last Sunday, around 1 o'clock, he said, "Let's do the anatomy of the ego." And I didn't even know what the ego was. And what do you mean by the anatomy of the ego? So it starts off like this. He says, the ego is this thing that talks to you in your head, and you don't even know that it's the ego talking to you. And what I got out of that, by the way, is, you mean the voice I listen to is not even my friend? But that's getting into the story again. He says, the way the ego operates, it says he puts you in control, saying, "Hey, listen, what you've done is a bad thing. You abandoned your father. You're here all alone, and and you're feeling guilty, and guilt demands punishment. So people out there are going to punish you, attack you, but I'm here to help you and help defend you from attack. So all we got to do is save all the ideas that ever came to us when we were attacked and we were hurt, and don't worry about it. We'll learn from the past, and you'll be okay in the present, because we'll know what worked then. It'll work again now." Now, the only problem is that you need to defend yourself too. And the best defense is a thing that I call projection. And you're going to project what's in your guilty mind onto other people. So you're going to see all the guilty people in your life first. And then, of course, they don't think that they're guilty, just like you don't think that you're guilty. And they're going to see you as guilty, and they're going to attack you. Now, after I tell you all this, you got to keep it a secret. Shh. You can't tell anybody. And I want you to forget the whole thing, because That's the only way that you can forget the whole thing is let's keep it a secret. It's just between you and me. That's how the ego starts out with us in life. So it says, we're going to remember all the times that someone came and physically hurt you, physically. And like everybody is physically hurt when they get kicked out of the uterus, well, not the out of well, you get kicked out. You're evicted, and some guy in a white coat and big lights cuts the cord. And boy, if you didn't scream bloody murder to take in some oxygen, you would have died right there. That's like near death experience. And let's see what we did back then. I'll keep it in memory for you. I'll keep this stack called physical hurts. And every time you get punched in the schoolyard or somebody hits you over the head with a book or something like that, we're going to see what you did then to survive. Yeah. Yeah, that's called survival of the fittest. Either I survive, I live, and they die, or they get hurt worse. So I'm going to keep all that for you in a DV in a DVR library, a DVD library, and we're gonna go there whenever we need it for physical hurts. Okay, all right, that sounds reasonable. He says, but we need another thing in memory called emotional hurts. Like someone calls you a dirty name, someone disrespects you, someone hangs up on you, somebody talks behind your back, somebody denies you, betrays you. Those are emotional hurts, and we got to keep that in a separate section from the physical hurts. So if any of that happens, we just go back there and look at what we did then that helped us get even, so that we don't get hurt and that they hurt even more. And that's that's the way we survive in this world, is that we hurt them when they hurt us. You know what I mean? There's always someone who wants to take advantage of you, but you're going to hurt them back. So I said, okay, man, that sounds reasonable. Okay, as long as I'm safe, I don't care. And then there's one more thing we got to add to the memory thing. Well, what's that? I mean, we covered physical hurts, we covered emotional hurts. How else can I be hurt? Oh, this is called your true memory banks. What's that? Well, anything in this world that reminds you of a one or a two, we're going to call that a three. And believe it or not, everything in this world, every form, everything that you see as different, as wrong, as bad, is going to be a reminder of a one or a two. And that's everything. Everything. Yeah, don't worry about it. We keep it in memory just in case it happens today. We got a solution, right? That's like a maladjusted solution to a non-existent problem. I mean, Ken Wapnick came up with that one. But right now, you're in good hands. I'll take care of you all the way from your birth to your grave. You're safe. I'm always with you. I'm always talking to you. You're safe. Okay, that sounds like a good deal. I'm on. Include me. Don't worry, I already did. You'll think you're in control, but I'm controlling you. Well, that's how I learned the anatomy of the ego. That's how I got to learn what the ego is. And I got to tell you, at the end of that 2 hours in 1975, I said, oh my God, the voice I'm listening to is not even my friend, my deadly enemy. 2 years pass. I find the Course in Miracles, and it starts talking about the ego. Now, I did know enough about the ego at that time, knowing that everybody on this planet, every person has an ego, and that I already knew, and so many people wrote many books, and I had read almost all the books that there were in the New Age. They called it the New Age then. You know, we have Ram Dass and this and that. I know Ram Dass is really our best friend, and he's walking us all home. But I knew that everybody who wrote a book, it came through their ego. It has to, because everyone has an ego. I got up to a lesson 189 of the workbook, and it says, I feel the love of God within me now. So I'm reading along. I get to paragraph 7, and paragraph 7 says, well, how could you feel the love of God in a world that looks like this? And then he gives you the solution. He gives you the answer in paragraph 7. He says, simply do this. Be still. Now, his idea of be still is to quiet the voice up here that's talking to you all the time. Do not take with you one thought of what you are. Now, that's not too easy to do. Or one thought of what God is. That's not too easy too, because I know God's up there somewhere. And then it says, do not take with you one thought you ever thought was real or good or right, nothing that you ever were ashamed of. Forget this world. And then it says something that I fell off my chair. I'm not going to fall off now. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy empty arms into your God. He said, forget this course? You mean this book with 1,300 pages, after he gives it to me, he tells me I don't need it? That couldn't be the ego. No self-respecting ego would ever say that to anybody. He would say, hey, you better read my course. And he says, forget this course. That's the first time I realized that this didn't come through anybody. It didn't come through a woman named Helen. It came from outside of this world. And it was at that time, on that day, I decided that I was not going to do any other thing. I was doing Buddhism. I was a bodhisattva. I was doing everything under the sun. I said, no, I'm just going to do A Course in Miracles, because I realized it didn't come through the ego. That's how I got into this thing. Now, just about the time I found the course, which is about 2-3 years after I did S, there was a lot of people gossiping about this guy Lester Levinson, who did take the S training, and he took a look at what was being said there, and he realized that the ego was keeping 3 stacks in memory, and he says, you know something? I could wipe the 3 stacks out with one whisk, like a broom, whisking it all away. When I heard that, Dove always saying, well, gee whiz, that sounds great. I mean, I want to learn more about this guy, Lester Levinson. And the next time I heard it was like the Sedona method. And there's this guy, I forgot his name. I'm sure that Rafi will help him. We started giving these programs, let it go. Can you let more go? And Prudence, who is our darling announcer or teacher in the morning from like 5 o'clock to 8:39, used to play for about 2 or 3 years. She used to play him in the Sedona method, and I listened, and I wasn't practicing it, but I was listening. And so finally one day I said, maybe we should play Ken Wapnick. Is it okay? She said, sure. And since then, she's been playing Ken, and she stopped playing the Sedona method. That's why we have Rafi here. Because I always wondered, how the hell did Lester Levinson do this to get rid of all those stacks all at one time with one swipe? And then the guy I went to high school with, no accidents here, who moved out to the West Coast, got into the movie business. I stayed on the East Coast. I went through my path. He went through his path. And guess what? synchronicity, we wound up in the same place, ACIM Gather. And he's teaching Lester's teachings and Sedona method, and everyone loves it. So without further ado, I'm going to be turning this mic on over to you, my Yonkers High School buddy, Raphael. Rafi.
I don't have to sing Hail School of Yonkers High on to the way. Thanks. Yeah, it's interesting. I just came from a podcast, Release Technique, which is the West Coast version of the Sedona method, which I follow. The man who runs it is the son of Larry Crane. Larry Crane studied with Lester Levinson for, I don't know, 12, 15 years. And the other guy you were talking about is Hale Dwoskin, who was also studied
Harold
with.
Watson, thank you.
So Hale took the Sedona method. Larry moved to LA and turned it and named it the Release Technique. It's the same thing. But Lester's whole thing was there's so many people intellectualize about what's going on, about how you can get to freedom or self-realization or whatever you want to call it. And he said, but all they're doing is talking. It's all intellectualizing. The Sedona method, the release technique says, wait a minute, look, here's a tale. Here's a tale. Here's a tool that you can use that you don't have to, it has got nothing to do. It's experiential. It's not intellectual. You don't sit and talk for hours about stuff. You KISS, keep it simple, sweetheart. The whole secret of all of this, as you mentioned it before, is whatever tool we use is to quiet the mind so we can transcend the mind and see the infinite being that we truly are. And keep it as simple as possible so anybody can do it. So that's what he developed. He started with doing, when he was dying, they sent him home. He had a heart attack, and they said, "You're going to die in a couple of weeks. So don't even put shoes on that you have to tie you with laces. Wear loafers. You bend over, you're going to die." So he said, "Look, I'm 42 years old. I'm sitting here. And what the heck is going on?" And he had taken all of those things and he studied all kinds of philosophies and things. And he said, "It got me nowhere. I'm sitting here, I'm going to die." So he started asking the question, what am I doing here? What's the universe doing here? What's it for? Where did it come from? And the more he got into it, the more he realized he got to a point, he said, well, what do you want? I want to be happy. When am I happy? When people like me. Nah, so I'm happy when I'm loving. Oh, wait a minute. So we started to go through and bring up all his non-loving thoughts. First of all, with relationships that he had had with people in the past. Whenever he brought up a memory of some woman that did him wrong or somebody that he made sure that he kept letting it go until he could only love them. And then it finally hit him. It had nothing to do with them. It's all about me. It's all about what's going on up here. So then he realized the best thing I can do is get rid of my non-loving thoughts and feelings. So he started working on releasing. In 3 months' time, a guy who had been diagnosed as going to die had gotten rid of every physical ailment he ever had, which included this bad heart, jaundice, ulcers. He had God knows how many things he had. And well, in less than 3 months' time. And he went free. He became self-realized. And he said the energy that he got from it was so high that he was walking through the streets of Manhattan at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to walk off the energy. And then he realized, wait a minute, I am so blissfully happy. What's beyond? Is there anything beyond this? And he fell into a state of peace that is indescribable. And that's the truth of what we are. And it came from a simple tool of, can I just let go of this non-loving feeling right now? And what you said about the ego, a lot of us tend to make the ego out as a thing. It has an identity. It doesn't have an identity. It's a collection of thoughts, feelings, ideas, beliefs, stories, programs, concepts that keep repeating themselves automatically. That self-references itself. And it has nothing to do with the infinite self that we really are. It's doing it for itself. When it says that I want them to like me, because then if they like me, then I'll feel safe and I'll survive. They don't like me, I'll kill them. God damn it. Wait a minute, that's wanting control. So if I let go of wanting approval, and that wanting, and if other feelings come up, which is a really I wanting to kill, you feel out of control, you want it to be this way, you don't want it to be that way. You're, well, how am I going to do it? There's frustration. It's just a simple feeling. Don't make it complicated. And all feelings come up to leave. That's their only purpose. Everything is working for us, not happening to us. We are we have an infinite, divine, constantly loving spirit that is with us every step of the way, and it's bigger than the universe, and it's what we really are. So if you pay attention, okay, now what's the thing? I think I'm separate. I think I'm a person. You hear the word think, because that's the key to it all. I think I'm a person. I think I'm separate. And I think I have a lifespan. I was born, I'm going to live a few years and I'm going to die. Oh God, what am I going to do now? How am I going to do? Well, I'll get a lot of money. I'll get people. Okay. And that's where all the wanting comes. And wanting is the source of all suffering. The Buddha made that perfectly clear. So we can get a hold of the want of those unloving feelings when they come up and let them go. What happens is the thoughts deteriorate, the ego weakens, and we're using the mind, the ego mind, to undo the ego mind. Because the ego mind comes from a point of I'm a victim. I'm separate and I'm a victim. And I gotta do protect myself, and I gotta get stuff, and it can never be satisfied. It can never be satisfied. If you have the greatest love of your life, I mean, why do people cheat up? People cheat on their mates. I have the greatest love of my life. I'm Jamaica. Ooh, isn't she hot? Let me see. Or I've got $1 million now, boy. I'm set. And 2 weeks later, your ego's telling you, yeah, but if I had $1.5 million. Okay, so it can never be satisfied. And that thing is just repeating stuff like, and you made it, you nailed it so clearly, Devil, when you were talking. About how that thing, it's that constant noise, our job, the only purpose that we have is self-realization, freedom, imperturbable peace, whatever you want to name it. And everything else falls into place when you do that. If that is the only focus, and you keep focused on that, Robert Adams said it, Lester said it, a bunch of other masters said it, everything else gets better in this dream by itself. If you're a doctor, you become a better doctor. If you're an athlete, you become a better athlete. If you're a singer, you become a better singer. If you're a homeless person, you become a better homeless. That stuff happens automatic. If all of a sudden your health gets perfect, all of a sudden your relationships are much better. All of a sudden your finances or your career works out better. None of that stuff is purposeful. That stuff happens secondarily, because the focus is I gotta remember what I truly am. And the release technique says, here's the tool. Let go of the feelings and the mind quiets. Let go of the feelings and the mind quiets. And you get into that place where you are the quiet, because the quiet, and I experience it all day long. The quiet is always there. That's the truth. The mind can carry on like a banshee and scream and yell and carry on. If you just don't identify with those thoughts, welcome the feelings and let them go, examine your thinking and correct your thinking, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but eventually that becomes the dominant, and the ego mind starts to lose its influence over you, because you're not identifying with it. You're not identifying with the thoughts. Was on a podcast today, Dove, about a guy interviewing me about releasing. And I mentioned about not identifying with thoughts. And I used the thing, he said, a friend of mine told me that someone once said, when a thought comes in the door, Open the back door and let them out. Don't let them out. Sit down and have a cup of tea. uh, just let them go, because when thoughts come to me now, I look at them and think, what is that thought for? I haven't the faintest idea. It has no purpose. It just showed up, and so I don't get identified with it, and it just disappears. And every time a feeling comes up, I'm right on top of it. While I was listening to you talk, resistance came up. I loved it and let it go. Wanting control came up. We wanted things to be different. I welcomed the feeling and I let it go. You can do this. There are 6 steps in the release technique in the Sedona method. And step number 4 is keep releasing constant. And if you do that, then the mind can't take over. It can't run you. You're the boss. It's not. Larry Crane used to say, are you the boss? Or are you going to let that thing push you around? You're going to let that ego mind push you around. Who's the boss? Take control. Take responsibility. Lester leaned on responsibility very heavily. If you're in charge, you're in charge. You're infinite. How could you not be in charge? You're going to let that thing run you. Then all you're doing is falling into that victim mentality that ego mind perpetuates. And it's like a machine. It's a recording and playback machine. It just keeps referencing itself over and over and over and over and over. You mentioned it before. You said it goes back into the past and picks out something that's similar to that and brings it up and says, see? So it knows it can be right. But all of that is mental activity that keeps you from experiencing the truth of our infinite beings, the truth of our God consciousness. So I don't know. I think I pretty much covered it. If there's anybody
Yes, you
else,
did. Yes, you did.
anybody
Matthew, thank you so much. And, there's a Yiddish expression, beschert. It was meant to be that we get together 60 years later after high school graduation and we do this thing. Beschert. It was, it was written into the script. While you were speaking, 2 thoughts were given to me by the Holy Spirit. I want to share them now. The first is, you notice if you're doing the workbook lessons, at least in the first 50 lessons, he doesn't talk about the ego at all, or it doesn't talk. I don't know of any place in the 50 lessons that he's talking about the ego. He's talking about, above all else, I want to see differently. He's saying things like, nothing I see here means anything. And my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. But he's not talking about the ego. So it came to me to kind of look at that and talking about the past, because the whole story that I was telling from S is it all lives in the past. Notice lesson number 7. And I always say the whole Course in Miracles can be found in the first 14 lessons. And I even go further than that. The whole Course in Miracles can be found in the first 2 lessons. But we're not going to go there right now. We're going to go to lesson number 7. What does lesson number 7 say? I see only the past. The word only is a big word to Jesus. He's telling you there's nothing else. You only see the past. You don't see anything else, because the thoughts that are coming through your head are all from the past, and they're not your thoughts. He tells you that up around lesson, I don't know, 40, something like that. He says, my mind holds only the thoughts I think with God. And these thoughts are not God's thoughts. God doesn't see differences. God doesn't see good and bad, right and wrong, you and me, us and them. He sees sameness, equality, oneness. He doesn't see the stuff. It's stuff. That's why lesson 1 is true. It doesn't mean anything. And then just in case it means something, because the ego says, what do you mean it doesn't mean? Are you kidding? My dog Happy means a lot to me. Well, guess what? Go on to lesson number 2. If something means something to you, just remember, I'm the one that's given it all the meaning it has. Who's who's me? It's the ego me. You're right. It doesn't. Ego is not a person, or it's a stream of thoughts. that is coming from the past. Well, I got this dog. I adopted him. I rescued him from the pound. He's been with me for 10 years. He's my mighty companion. All that good stuff. That has meaning to me. Well, great, Dove. So let's get back to lesson number 7. It says, I see only the past. And what do you think the first couple sentences say? It says, this is why the first 6 lessons, this is lesson 7. This is why the first 6 lessons are true. Really? So you go back and look at the first 6 lessons, and one of them, of course, is lesson 5, which is almost everybody's favorite. It was Ken Wapnick's favorite lesson. I am never upset for the reason I think. That's right. Why am I upset? Because I'm listening to a madman telling me to be crazy, to be out of my mind, to blame, to shame, to guilt somebody, to defend myself because I've been attacked and I'm going to defend. And then lesson 135 simply says, if I defend myself, I'm attacking myself. The ego wins all the games. Ego has to win all the games. There's no other player. It's just me speaking to myself about myself. And Joni would say, should I take the tombstone out? I always say, go ahead. Yeah. Do you want to speak? Go ahead. Go ahead.
You just reminded me of one of the most important lessons that religion teaches is that let's take a look at the basic facts. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my feelings. I'm not a body. I'm not a mind. I wasn't born. I don't exist. I can't die. None of that stuff is what I am. All of that stuff has got to do with not what I am. And if you're looking for stuff to blame, then you're identifying with the stuff that you're not. If you're looking to be critical, like you said, because everything is a reflection of our consciousness. There's the perfection. So if you see somebody out there that you're afraid of or you want something from, it's in here. They're just a mirror. They're a divinely placed mirror showing you what you got to take a look at. And if you need to get rid of it, you need to let it go, do it. And if not, if you're in harmony with it, and if it doesn't bother you, you're completely non-reactive to it, then you've made great strides because you're coming from that place of deep love, which is the only reality. That deep love, bliss. I mean, every morning I get into the joy of being for at least a half hour, the pure joy of being. And when resistance keeps coming up to fight with me, I love it and let it go. And then it's obvious to me what the reality is, as opposed to what this ego thinking is about, which is I'm separate, I'm a victim, I need things, I want stuff, I hate you, please like me, I can't stand this. Oh my God, am I going to die? Does she like me anymore? Can I get this? I wonder if if I have a new car, wow. All right. You listen, you wonder why people take a gun and go into a store and hold it up? Because they listen to that thing. You wonder why marriages break up? Because I'm with the one I love. I found my soulmate. Yay! And 6 years later, they're listening to that crap going on in their head, and all of a sudden, we have to get divorced. I can't stand you anymore. It has nothing to do with them. It's never them. It's always that thing. And we can't and so I can't identify with that thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the perfect health I have. I wouldn't have the wonderful career. All of that stuff, that extra stuff that comes in because I've just focused on what my main purpose is, would be in shambles. And it's not. There's the blessing that shows that I'm on the right track. And everybody here, I'm looking at everybody here is on the right track. Lester always used to say, keep holy company. That's what we're doing. We're all have the same focus. And we're sharing that and reflections of each other's consciousness. Otherwise, Elizabeth wouldn't be here, and Myrna wouldn't be here, and Brooklyn wouldn't be here, and Rika wouldn't be, etc. We wouldn't be doing this stuff. As you said before, there are no mistakes. If this wasn't meant to be, we'd be doing something else. We'd be at Trader Joe's or something, whatever. Sharon got her hand up.
Yeah, I have to say this was fabulous for me. Listening to you both, it's one of the best. Well, again, I'm comparing, but you guys are fabulous together. And what you shared, Rafi, it just really, really landed right in the heart. All day long, not even listening to the thoughts. Can I let that go? Can I let that go? Can I let that go? Because I do have thoughts come in, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's the thought I think I believe now. And see, if you keep consistently using it as a mantra, well, that's an exercise I can do. It's the consistency that I need to do, because that's what you're really saying, right? That we have to become consistent with letting everything go in the moment, right here, right now.
And when you do that, you're in the moment. What better place could you be?
Right.
There is
That's
nothing,
right.
there is no past or future. But
Because
that's
the
what
machine comes in and
reminding.
it distracts us on purpose. It just keeps distracting us, giving us all these thoughts. And then I'm like, oh, they're my thoughts. I think I'll believe them now. And then it doesn't take long to be in hell when you believe your thoughts.
Okay. All right, Sharon. Thank you so much for that. So that brought up a lot of new stuff. And I just want to get back to what I was saying. The first 14 lessons really is the whole course in a way. In lesson number 7, he says, look, you only see the past. You don't see anything now. And it's only in the now that you're alive and you are the eternal Son of God. But your mind is always digging in the past, trying to plan for your safety, and you live in fear. And if you live in fear, as Sharon says, there's no consistency. How could you be consistent when you're dodging bullets? Like in the Matrix, Neo. He really wasn't up to the agent's way of seeing things, because the agents were a lot faster than him. The ego's brilliant, by the way. Ego is much faster than this computer can think. Much faster. The ego is not here, by the way. The ego is actually seeing the big picture, like I'm in the woods right now, and the ego says, grab onto that tree. Well, if you grab onto that tree, you're missing the entire forest. You're missing the forest for the trees you're grabbing onto. And the ego is always having you grab onto something for safety. Getting back to that lesson 135, he says, if I defend myself, I'm attacking myself. And then he goes through, like, from paragraphs 11 through 17. He says, a healed mind does not plan. Now, the ego loves planning. Why? The ego makes it all up, baby. Hey, boy, you're going to do this. You're going to be successful. You're going to go into this business. You're going to make a lot of money. No, you're going to lose a lot of money. You feel depressed. And why is this happening to me? Finally, you get to paragraph 18, which we call chai, which is another word in Hebrew for life, l'chaim. And in paragraph 18, you find Dove's favorite paragraph, which most of you know at this point. What can you not accept? Accept? You didn't say anything about accept. You said resist. You said to fight, defend, attack. You didn't say anything about accept. What could you not accept if you knew that everything that seems to happen, all events, everything in the past, really? The present and to come is all gently planned for you by one whose own, there's the word only again, only purpose is your good. Really? I never thought of that. I mean, you mean I'll have another teacher around? There's a second teacher I can choose? Really? Well, you can't choose the other teacher until you finish your first 50 lessons. Why is that? Well, you have to, you can't learn honesty, which is consistency, unless you develop trust. And where's the first time that trust is mentioned? Does anyone know? Lesson 47, way at the end of the 50 lessons. God is the strength in which I trust. He says, if you're trusting in your own strength, you have a lot to fear. Who the hell are you to be you can't. He's talking, like the ego. You can't be trusted. You betray the Son of God, and you think you can be trusted. But if you trust in real, clear, innocent strength, and that's what strength is, innocence, the innocence of the Son of God, the innocence of his Father, who created him innocent as himself. If you trust in that, then you can go on to the next lesson, lesson 48. And what does 48 say? There's nothing to fear. This is a fact. This is the first time he uses the word fact. This is a fact. You mean it's not contingency? It's not based on, the past? No, this is true. If you are in fear, you can't know the truth of who you are, which is love, because love and fear cannot coexist. The ego wants you to be afraid. Go ahead, Rafi, I see your hand is up.
A couple of things. As soon as you mentioned fear, the light bulb went on. People make fear into a big deal, when the fact of the matter is it's simply a feeling. That's all it is. But the ego turns it into Mount Vesuvius, okay? Because that's what it does. That's what that ego thinking does. It always goes to the worst case scenario. But a fear is just another feeling like any other feeling. And if the fear comes up, what happens is most people don't like it. I don't like feeling this way. Well, as soon as you're doing that, you're suppressing it, and it's going to stay there and keep on running. But if you say, yes, fear, I love you, fear, I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, come on to me. And I'm letting it go. And that feeling just goes, because it's only a feeling. It's like every other feeling. If it's a feeling of wanting safety and security, okay, let me feel that, which is a lacking safety and security feeling based on a fear. I love you. Let's see. Can I let go of wanting security? Yes. And as soon as you answer the question, the process completes itself. That's how simple it is. There may be more. That's fine. If more comes up later, then you go and you do it. All that other stuff becomes ego mind stuff, and it's going to keep repeating itself. The stuff you said about the future, because it only knows past and future, has no concept what now is, and now is the only reality. So if releasing, you cannot release in the past, you cannot release in the future. You cannot follow all of the things that are in your Course in Miracle books in the past or the future. You can only follow them now. So as soon as you get into it, you are now. What better place to be? And now is infinite love, infinite peace, infinite happiness, infinite abundance, free, unlimited, harmony, perfect wholeness. That's the reality. You ain't gonna find it in thinking. And all you have to do is welcome the feeling and let it go. And the great thing about it is that we are so divinely designed that when you say, could I let this go? Yes, it goes. The process completes itself. That divine infinite presence take it away. We're divinely protected. We're divinely provided for. We're divinely guided. That divine love is our basic nature. Love, infinite love, is the very essence of our being. And wasn't it Lynn who said it perfectly when she said that divine love is expressing through all of us always? So that's the reality, and we can't be separated from its source. And so I think pretty much I just covered what I was going to cover for now.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
So that all came from lesson 48. There's nothing to fear. This is a fact. And then he steps it back just for a minute. He said, well, it's not a fact if you're still invested in illusions. Now, the illusion he's talking about is believing the stuff you hear in your head that you think is true. And of course, there's something to fear because the ego lives in fear. The ego is the author of fear. And fear is nothing more than the belief. And you know how I feel about a belief. It's a big lie, right? The belief in separation.
Right.
Jesus said to Ellen, he says, please don't ask me to take away your fear because I know the fear is not real. But you think that the fear is real. Just ask, what are the conditions that lead to the fear? And it's always about your belief in separation. So he's taking care of that in 48.
Karen has her hand up.
49, in 49, he goes on to say, hey, listen, God's voice is speaking to you all through the day, but you're not listening. You're in fear. You're in the dark. You're looking for the light. You can't find the light. You're in the dark. You're tripping over yourself. You're tripping over other people. You're basically tripping. You know, isn't that what an acid trip is? You're tripping. This is basically an acid trip. You know, I mean, you're seeing things. You think it's real and you judge them and you make yourself wrong, you make them wrong, you're reading the guilt that punishes you. You think that by punishing someone else and seeing them as guilty, that the guilt is the poison. And what is, you know, what is the belief in guilt is that if I drink the poison, if I drink the guilt, someone else is going to get hurt. No, I'm killing myself. I'm doing this to myself. Isn't that the secret of salvation? I'm doing this to myself. There's only one self, as you point out. And then we get to the creme de la creme, lesson number 50. And what is 50? It's a very short lesson, but it is actually the beginning of lesson 76, which is I am under no laws but the laws of God. If you really want to laugh, go look at lesson 76. You get a really good laugh. But lesson 50 says, I am sustained. This is what sustains me, is the love of God. And he tells you that way back in trust. Remember the bedrock or the teachers of God? You can't get to honesty until you develop trust. And what's the first paragraph under trust? In the teacher's manual in section 4, he says the teachers of God, which is the advanced teachers of God, have trust in the world. What do you mean trust in the world? You just told me there is no world. That's right. Have trust in the illusion because they have recognized that it's not governed by the laws of the ego, the laws of the world. It's governed by a power that is in us, but not of us. It's the power of God that keeps all things here safe. Go ahead, Rafi. I see your hands up.
No, Karen has had her hand up for
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Karen. I'm sorry.
You guys are great together. I am so enjoying this. And I love the way Dove's sitting there. It looks like he's leaning on a tree. This is such an illusion. This world is such an illusion. Even the illusion of Dove looking like he's on, in a forest. And, it's just, I just love what you guys are sharing. And what I also love is when Raffi talks about the ego, he calls it that thing. I love that thing, I think that's hilarious, Raffi, when you say that thing. I love that. And what he was saying, what Raffi was saying about, letting it go, let, I don't know if Lester said this to you or you just are sharing it, but, letting it go, letting go of all the unloving thoughts. He let go of all the unloving thoughts until he could only love them. Like this is a Course in Miracles. I mean, everything that you're talking about is exactly what the Course is teaching, because the love is real. And the aim of the Course is to remove the blocks to love's presence. And that's exactly what you're talking about. By looking at them, we remove the blocks to the truth, because only truth is true and it's only love. I just want to share really quickly. I had this amazing experience today. I had a mammogram early this morning. I was out on the road at like 7:30, and I was driving down Main Street, And I used to live right on Main Street, and I was looking at the house that I used to live in, and I was looking at all the funeral parlor right down the street where my dad was, buried, and all this other stuff. And I'm just looking at it all, and I'm seeing that this is right now. This is the movie that's happening now. And that house that I lived in, that was a movie set for a time when I was in that movie then. But this is now. And now there's another movie playing, and everything was just so clear. I just saw it was all a movie. It's all unreal. None of it's real. It's only right now in this moment. I mean, it went deeper than I'm being very, very brief because I don't want to take up a lot of time, but it was so amazing. And I had so much peace. And I still have that peace. I have it now. I have that peace right now because I felt like, wow, this is great. It's only now and that's it. There's nothing else, but everything is happening perfectly and everybody is playing their part perfectly. And I'm so enjoying this, guys. You guys are so good together. You got to do this again. Thank you.
Okay, Karen, and thank you for that, because when you were talking about the movie set, basically the world is like a Hollywood backlot where there's a movie set. You go into town, there's a Western town, there's a bar over there, there's a hotel over here, there's the blacksmith is over here. It's all a facade. And the word facade came to me just the other day, and I forgot, maybe it was you, Karen, I don't know. Someone said, oh, I love that word facade because it's a better word than the word illusion. A facade is just something that looks like it's real. It's not real. It's just a cover up. It's a Hollywood backlot, and when the movie's over, it comes right down. Oh, we're going to put it up for another movie. Exactly as you just said. I wanted just to get into one other thing that Rafi had reminded me. I said there was two things, and first is about the first 7 lessons, and I see only the past. The other thing is what the ego values in this world is valueless. So Rafi was talking about how the ego loves. Well, I just made $1 million, and now I'm working on my second million, and then I'm going to go for $1 billion. And there's a chapter, a section of the course called the Antichrist, chapter 29, section 8. If you never read it, and I can understand why you never read it, because Dove avoided reading the Antichrist for years. I said, well, I don't want to read about the Antichrist. It has nothing to do with the idea of an Antichrist. He starts off, he says, do you think you know what an idol is? This is Jesus talking to Helen. You think you know what an idol is? No, you don't, because the purpose of an idol is to be obscure. So you don't even know you're worshiping it when you're worshiping it. So you read 2 pages, and he gets to the last couple of paragraphs, and he says, the idol that everybody here in this world worships is more. I want more. I don't have enough. So the ego keeps you busy, busies out your mind. Well, I made my first million. I got to work on my second, my third. It's always more. I'm never, exactly as Rafi said, I'm never satisfied.
So Dennis has his hand up for a while.
Right.
You probably don't see it.
All right, Dennis, your hand is up.
Yes, I'm so glad I tuned in. I actually had been to Larry Crane's. I live in the Los Angeles area. So about 25 years or so ago, I went with a friend, a naturopath, and we went to his house, and it was he went there to release to become rich. But why I want to ask a question mostly for Raf, and I just want to know, really, there's only 2 feelings. I guess you can say love and fear are a joyful loving of what is. This is how I view love. And then just fear. Now, fear branches in many other labels, I'm guessing. But if I'm going to sit with my feelings, as much as I would love to be sitting in just love, this is just not the case. I am it's mostly just fear. I'm guessing because it's going to be all day long. And so I would like maybe you eventually the meeting is still, I don't know how much longer it's going to go as far as
Can
how
I
to
make a
deal
suggestion?
with that.
Can I make a suggestion? Maybe Rafi can do the release method right now because we're talking about it. If you're willing, Rafi will help you right now.
Okay, first of all, fear is a feeling. Love is not a feeling. Love
Okay.
is a state of being. Okay, and we confuse, oh, I feel love. Yeah, you feel it. That's the way it expresses. But you can't say equalize. Fear is one feeling and love is another feeling. That's bullshit. Okay? Love is the state of being. Love is God, love is beingness, love is consciousness, love is reality. Fear is a feeling that they all come and go. So tell me right now, what's bothering you right now? Give me something that's bothering you, some concern.
Okay, well, 25 years ago, I was over at Larry Crane's house being part of the Sedonia method.
Yeah. So what's
And
bothering
and
you
and,
right
and
now?
he okay. Public speaking.
Okay. Now the public speaking, is that wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure?
Wanting approval.
Okay, can you want and have approval at the same time?
Can I want and have approval?
At the same time.
Yes.
How can you want something and have it at the same time? How is that even possible? How can you lack something and want it at the same and have it at the same time?
I see. So no, all I want, I just
So,
want
so which is better, having approval or wanting approval?
having approval.
So could you let all feelings come up to leave? So does wanting approval. Could you, and this is just a question, like is today Tuesday, or do you wear glasses? Could you let go of that wanting approval feeling? Could you?
Yes.
And if you could
Yes.
let go of that wanting approval feeling, would you?
Yes.
When?
Now.
Would you let go of more wanting approval to have approval? Yes or no?
You said it so quick it went right back.
I'll say it slower. Would you let go of more of the wanting approval feelings so you can have approval?
No.
No? So you'd rather not have the approval you just said you wanted.
Yeah. So the question is just it's I'm
Simple
not
yes or no question. Would you rather have approval or want approval?
I want approval.
Well, then you're never going to have it because you're going to be in want forever.
Okay, so
Does
then
that
I'll
sound
let
does
go
that
of
sound like a good
approval.
idea to you?
I'll let go of approval.
Okay,
I'll let go of wanting approval.
good. Could you let go of more wanting approval? It's just a feeling that came up to leave. They all come up to leave. Why would you hold on to something that's leaving and it's for your benefit? You see how your mind is fucking with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea?
No.
Are you in charge or are you going to let it run you?
I'm in charge.
Okay, so could you let go of wanting approval to have approval? Simple yes
Yes.
or no. I'm not begging you to. I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking you a question. Is today Tuesday?
Yes.
Would you let go of wanting approval to have approval?
Yes.
You let go of more wanting approval feelings. If they wanted to go, would you just let them go?
Yes.
Would you let go of even more wanting approval feelings?
Yes.
Would you let go of even more wanting approval feelings?
Yes.
You're starting to feel like you have approval now?
Yes.
You just give yourself love and approval? No reason.
Yes.
You give yourself more love and approval?
Yes.
You let that love expand exponentially?
Yes.
You let go of whatever you're feeling now just to see if it gets even better.
Yes.
You let go of whatever you're feeling now to see if it gets even better.
Yes.
You let go of whatever you're feeling now to see if it gets even better.
Yes.
Now, what are you experiencing? Not what you're feeling. What are you experiencing?
I am not as I'm not as fearful.
And how long did that take? About a minute and a half?
About a minute and a half.
Right. So you
And
can
so
see
that's something I'm going to do throughout the day.
All right, let me just say that this is a practice. Okay, it's like when the first time you got on a bicycle, you weren't really good at it, but
Right.
after a while, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Okay, since the mind likes to complicate things, it's gonna give you all kinds of shit. Don't listen to it. Okay, stay focused, stay in charge, stay pointed at this is where I'm going, and nothing is going to deter me. Okay, you make the decision. You make the decision. Your mind doesn't make the decision because if it makes the decisions, it's gonna mess you up, bro. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
I
you,
hope
Russ.
that helped.
Dennis, I want you to know that Rafi lives right close to you. It's a local call from you to Rafi, and Rafi does this on the phone all day long. So if you don't have Rafi's number, Rafi will give it to you, and you can call him at any time for all the other stuff.
Where do you live?
Well, I live in Rancho Palos Verdes right now.
Oh, well, that's a hike. I'm in Los Feliz, just between Hollywood and Glendale.
Okay. Okay.
But
But if you're willing, I certainly would. If
would you like me to put my phone number in the chat?
I would love for you to put your
Sure,
phone
I'd be
number in
glad
my.
to.
Thank you.
And
Hey,
this
Raf,
is everybody else. I'm just going to announce it as soon as it's there. It's obviously in the Los Angeles area, so it's going to be area code.
I put it in already.
Oh, you put it there, really? Okay. Obviously, my thing is not working. Okay. There it is. Where is it?
I put it in the chat. Anybody else see
It's
it?
in the chat. I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the first two numbers is 3-2.
323.
Okay. Yeah. That's just a typo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Typo,
Oh,
but we don't want typos on a phone number.
all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's my
I
dyslexia.
tell you what, why don't you just mention what your phone number is? That's all. Go ahead.
I'm putting it in again.
So I just want to just say, as you know, our time is up, but I of course
Yes, 3-2.
we're
Finish that.
There it is. Area code 323-283-2464. Hey.
Rectamundo.
yeah, I actually wrote down 323 the first time because that's what it was supposed to be.
Perfect. So what I wanted to say, thank you so much, Dove and Rafi. This has been really, really beautiful. And I think a lot of folks are wanting probably to have more of this. I think it's really been very useful because the way that you explained how this all came about and what the usefulness, what the purposes of it is. So I know that listening to Rafi regularly, which I hear him, almost every day in something or the other, and he'll talk about that he is releasing. Even now, I bet you he's releasing. I bet you even now there's that he,
Resistance came up, and I'm letting go of resistance right now. My
yeah.
mind, it's just gonna end. I don't want it to end. Yes, I do. No, I don't. The ego in duality. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Oh, give me a break. I love you very much. Let me let it go.
That's perfect. It's beautiful. So yeah, and I love it because it really does work. It's like doing the work by Byron Katie. It really does work. And it's a simple thing. So, if you're studying A Course in Miracles and maybe you're not seeing how you can actually practice forgiveness in the situations, or how does it apply, or what, how does it work? This is actually just a forgiveness practice. Letting it go is forgiving it. And I love that we're given these different ways to do it. And I'm really, really grateful for people's participation. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe once a month you guys want to do something like this, because I think a lot of people, I mean, we got people in here like Hank. I haven't seen Hank Hamilton for a long time. So grateful to see you, buddy. Um, so, definitely,
I loved it. I mean, I really loved it.
yeah.
Like, I feel like this is something I'm going to listen to because, again, the mind can block it, but it was so powerful, at least for my mind. And if you wanted to do it whenever, I would love it. It was fabulous, guys.
Yeah.
I love it.
Byron, I just want to mention Byron. There's going to be a certified Byron Katie teacher here the last Tuesday of this month, October 29th, which is a fifth Tuesday in this month. This is October 1. It's a Tuesday. There's 5 Tuesdays. She'll be here the last Tuesday of the month. She's a great teacher. She used to be here. Catherine Dixon from Salt Lake City. She used to be a regular teacher at ACIM Gather. She's coming back.
So yay. So I love it when people come back. It's such a wonderful thing. So anyway, thank you all, everybody. Rafi, did you want to say something?
One thing, there probably will be this Saturday a free introduction to releasing a call. I'll send if it is, I'll send the information to Lynn, and Lynn, you can send it out because you got everybody's email address.
Sure, and I'm happy to do that. Absolutely. So yes, so thank you guys. Thank you all. I appreciate everyone being here. Hey, Brooklyn, good to see you, my friend.
Brooklyn, please forgive the remark about your boyfriend. We are all here in drag going home together.
Amen. Amen.
Lynn,
love
John,
it.
you know what? Jack's here. We should tell him that we're still here on Monday nights. We
Yeah,
haven't seen you, Jack.
yeah,
Come
where
on back.
have you been?
Hello.
Even Duff shows up now on Monday nights.
Yeah,
Right. So you come on back, Jack.
we're all looking at where's Jack?
Okay.
But
You all
we're
come
happy
back
to have
now.
you here
You
now.
all come back. Yeah.
Jack
All
doesn't
right.
realize it, but I saw him release something while we were on the call. You remember when you yawned?
Yes, I do.
That was a release.
Was it?
Yep. There was pent up energy inside of you and you let it out and you didn't even realize you were doing it.
Actually, you're right. Yawns are a special thing in spiritual training.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You can't
Thank you, Rafi. Thank you for that.
Laughing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you guys. I got to jump on another call. Dennis,
All right, love you guys.
See you, man.
Good
I'm
Good
happy.
to see you, Rico.
Yeah,
it's
good to
blessing,
see you. And it's
blessing,
good to
brother.
see you, Dennis. I'm
Bless you.
welcome back.
And
Oh,
I'm going to be
thanks-
on
thanks
this
for the-
Sunday.
thanks
I'm
for
going to
the
be on
link.
this Sunday at Awakening Together, and Lynn's going to be my reader.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to be talking
What
about
time?
some really cool stuff.
This
It's
Sunday.
10:15 Eastern time, so that's 7:15 your time. I think. Are you 3 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah, so 7:15 a.m.
You doing the homily or the?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing the
Yep.
homily, the reading. We do the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be there.
Yeah,
Me
he'll
too.
be the minister. So, yeah,
Right.
it's homecoming.
I'll be there. I love you guys. I got to
All right,
jump on
love you
the call.
too.
Lynn is the homecoming
Dennis, I'll be in
queen.
touch.
All right.
Good
I love it.
night.
All right, bye-bye, you guys. I love you all.
You all come back now, yeah?
All right. Bye-bye.